get along with, it might be a safe assumption that this was completely gang related. YG is gonna go down for the murder of Draco the Ruler.
YG, born Keenan Jackson, straight out of Compton, built his entire reputation on staying true to who he is, the music, the image, even how he speaks on serious topics. This is the same artist who dropped a track like FDT and made it very clear where he stood on the system, no filter at all. For over 10 years, he's been one of the most outspoken and fearless voices in hip-hop, never switching sides or backing down. But now, things might be getting serious in a completely different way. There's talk about a possible federal RICO case tied to alleged gang activity. This isn't local or state level, this is federal, which makes it a lot heavier. And what's really getting people talking is that within this situation, there are claims of something deeper than just affiliations. People are now linking this situation to the tragic passing of Draco the Ruler, one of LA's most respected and talented artists, suggesting his case could somehow be part of a larger investigation involving YG. Now listen, this part is important. This information is coming from online sources and commentators who've been right before, but nothing official has been confirmed publicly. No court paperwork, no verified charges directly tied to this claim. Just strong discussions, timelines, and connections people are putting together. But when the conversation gets this loud and spreads this wide, it usually means something is happening behind the scenes, no question. So stay locked in, because this one goes deep.
Is gonna go down for the murder of Draco the Ruler in a massive multi-set blood gang RICO. That is so accusatory that I am basically giving it up to y'all to say this and these sources come from a few YouTubers I know. I think their credibility is intact, but I don't have any actual intel of my own. When he was alive, Draco the Ruler did diss a bunch of people from some supposed, opposing or gangs he didn't get along with. It might be a safe assumption that this was completely gang related.
Don't click off early, because what's about to be explained connects dots most people haven't even paid attention to, and it completely shifts how you see this situation. To really understand what's happening, you can't start in 2021 or just at the headlines. This story goes way further back, deep into Compton, California, on the 400 block of West Spruce Street. That's where Keenan Jackson was growing up, seeing life through one perspective: survival and finding a way out. Back in 2006, at just 16 years old, YG became connected to the Treetop Pyru Circle, a group known not just in Compton, but beyond. Now, if you don't get why that matters, here's the reality. This isn't just something local people talk about. It's a widely recognized network with ties reaching far outside California, across the country. And once someone is tied into that kind of environment, it doesn't just disappear when success shows up. Even when music, money, and fame come in, those early ties and experiences can still follow you. That's part of what made YG stand out. He never pretended his past didn't exist. While a lot of artists were telling stories for attention, YG's music felt like it came straight from real life. His 2014 project, My Crazy Life, didn't feel like just another album. It played out like a full story, almost like a day-by-day look into Compton life, told through music instead of visuals. And people connected with that heavily. The culture caught on fast. That project went gold, and suddenly, YG was carrying the West Coast sound with a weight people hadn't seen since the early 2000s. But here's the reality. When someone is that real in their music, you can't fully separate the artist from their personal history, and that history can follow them. Back in January 2020, YG was taken into custody at his Chatsworth home over robbery-related accusations, with bail set at $250,000. His team stood firm, saying he had nothing to do with it and that he was in the studio the entire time. In the end, no formal charges were filed, and the situation didn't move forward. Then, fast forward to October 2024, another situation comes up in Burbank involving a DUI report, with a car found partly on a curb. But once again, nothing stuck. Reports said he wasn't even inside the vehicle when authorities arrived. 2 major incidents, 0 convictions, and people started noticing a pattern. For a while, it looked like he was moving through legal situations without anything actually landing. But now, the conversation is changing, because federal attention is a whole different level compared to local cases. And if what's being said is true, this could be something that's been building quietly behind the scenes for a long time. You can't even speak on this situation without bringing up Draco the Ruler. Daryl Caldwell, born December 3, 1993, out of South Central Los Angeles. The LA Times once called him the most original West Coast stylist in a decade. And that's not hype, that's respected critics putting real weight on his talent. Draco came up with the Stink Team, a collective from the Hundreds area in South Central. His flow, his delivery, his entire style didn't sound like anything else coming out of LA at the time. And that uniqueness is exactly what made him stand out. He called his sound nervous music, dark, tense, almost emotionless on the surface, but filled with sharp, unusual word choices that hit differently. His delivery felt cold and calculated, but that's what made it stand out so much. He even created his own slang, words like flu, flaming, and oches, and before long, the whole scene started copying it without even realizing where it came from. But his rise wasn't smooth. In 2017, he was taken into custody on a weapons-related situation. Then in 2018, things escalated when he faced serious charges connected to a 2016 incident in Carson. He spent years in Men's Central Jail fighting the case. And during that time, instead of slowing down, he locked in even more with his music. While behind bars, he recorded one of the most talked-about rap projects ever, delivering verses over the phone to his producer. That's a different level of dedication. Still creating, still building, even in the middle of everything happening around him. In July 2019, a jury cleared him of the most serious charge, but the situation didn't fully end there. Prosecutors brought forward additional conspiracy-related claims, which kept him in custody until November 2020, when he accepted a deal just to move forward with his life. After everything he went through, he came out focused and ready to take things further. By December 2021, Draco the Ruler was building major momentum. He released The Truth Hurts, had a big record with Drake called Talk to Me, and even performed at Rolling Loud. It felt like everything was finally lining up, like the recognition was catching up to the talent people had been talking about for years. This is where everything starts to get serious. December 18, 2021, Once Upon a Time an LA Festival at Bank of California Stadium in Exposition Park. The lineup was massive. Snoop Dogg, Ice Cube, 50 Cent, YG, and Draco the Ruler on one stage. It was meant to be a full celebration of West Coast culture, a moment the city had been waiting on. At around 8:30 p.m., Draco had just finished his set and was backstage. Reports say he and his team had already gone through security checks before entering, meaning they weren't carrying anything restricted. That detail matters because what happened next caught everyone off guard in the worst way. Witnesses and legal representatives later described a chaotic situation where a large group, some say dozens, rushed toward Draco backstage. What started as a physical altercation quickly escalated into something far more serious when a sharp object was used, leaving Draco critically injured. Emergency teams arrived quickly, and he was rushed to a nearby hospital in critical condition. Despite efforts to save him, Draco the Ruler passed away the following day, December 19, 2021, at just 28 years old. The news sent shockwaves through the entire music world. After that, people started looking closely at everyone who was present that night. YG had also been at the festival, performing and moving through the same backstage area. In the time that followed, days, weeks, even months, fans noticed he stayed completely silent publicly about the situation. Complete silence. Now, to be clear, just because someone doesn't speak publicly doesn't mean they're responsible for anything. But in hip-hop culture, where artists usually post tributes and speak out when something major happens, that kind of silence stands out, and a lot of people noticed it. There's also another layer that doesn't get talked about enough. When Draco was alive, he wasn't quiet about issues with others. He would send messages, sometimes subtle, sometimes direct, toward different figures in the LA scene. And anyone who understands the city knows things can get complicated fast when it comes to rivalries and respect. Draco wasn't the type to hold back if he felt a certain way, and some believe his words may have made certain people uncomfortable. Authorities, including LAPD and California Highway Patrol, looked into the situation. Draco's legal team also filed a $20 million wrongful death lawsuit against Live Nation, claiming security failures. In January 2023, a Los Angeles County judge allowed that case to move forward, keeping the spotlight on what happened that night. But here's what still has people talking. No arrests have been made in connection to Draco's passing. Despite witnesses, despite the public setting, no one has officially been charged. That alone has raised serious questions across the industry. Now, this is where things take another turn. There's growing talk online suggesting that federal authorities may have been building a much bigger case behind the scenes. Not just focused on one incident, but possibly looking at broader patterns and connections over time. And according to what's being said online, YG's name is right in the middle of it. Now, let's slow it down and really explain what a federal RICO case actually is, because this isn't your typical situation. This is one of the most serious legal tools out there. RICO stands for Racketeer Influenced and Corrupt Organizations Act, and it was originally created to go after organized crime groups. What makes it so powerful is how it works. Prosecutors don't have to prove someone personally carried out every single act. Instead, they try to show that a person was connected to a larger group where repeated illegal activity was happening over time. All it takes is what they call a pattern, usually meaning at least 2 related incidents within a certain time frame. And if this is really a multi-group case like people are claiming, then it suggests authorities could be looking at connections across different circles, not just one area or one group. We've seen similar strategies used before in Atlanta. Prosecutors used RICO laws in a high-profile case involving Young Thug and others, where they pointed to music, lyrics, and online content as part of a broader argument. That situation showed just how far these cases can stretch when they're being built. Now, imagine that same level of focus being directed at YG, a public figure who has openly talked about his background, referenced it in music, and built his brand around where he comes from. From interviews to performances to visuals, it's all been part of his identity, which could make things even more complicated if any serious investigation is actually happening behind the scenes. If federal prosecutors ever chose to build a RICO case around Treetop Pyru and any connected groups, there's already a long history they could examine. Years of public moments, music, and online content creating a detailed timeline. And now, according to what's being said online, there are claims that a serious charge tied to Draco the Ruler's death could be part of that bigger picture. Think about that for a second. And again, this matters. None of this has been officially confirmed through court documents. We're not talking about small accusations or minor issues. The speculation is pointing towards something much more serious being looked at under a federal case, which carries extremely heavy consequences if it were ever proven true. That kind of situation changes everything for everyone involved. It's not small, and it's not something handled quickly or quietly. Cases like that take years to build, and when they finally surface, they come with serious weight behind them. Now, here's what's being said about the night of December 18th. Based on circulating discussions, some believe the backstage incident wasn't random or spontaneous, but something more organized. The claim is that certain individuals may have arrived with intentions already in place, and that connections between different groups could be part of what authorities have been quietly studying over time. Nothing here has been officially confirmed, and it all remains in the space of public discussion. But from the very beginning, people close to the situation felt like something about that night didn't add up, especially with concerns raised about how security was handled at the event.
That issue with security was even brought up in civil court, so that part is on record. But here's the bigger question people keep asking. How does such a large group end up backstage at the same time with that level of coordination? For a lot of observers, that doesn't feel random, and it's exactly the type of situation people point to when they start talking about organized activity. This is where things start connecting on a deeper level, and a lot of conversations haven't fully broken this part down. Federal investigations don't move fast, they take time for a reason. Just because local authorities didn't close the case or bring charges doesn't mean everything stopped. It just means another level of investigation could be moving differently behind the scenes. Federal agencies are known for building cases slowly and carefully. They gather information over long periods, track patterns, and piece everything together step by step. By the time anything becomes public, they've often been studying the situation for years without people realizing how deep it goes. Look at past high-profile cases like the situation involving Young Thug in Atlanta. That case didn't just appear overnight. Reports suggested it was built over several years with detailed records, digital analysis, and extensive documentation. When it finally came out, it was massive and involved a lot of moving parts. So if hypothetically there were ever a large-scale case being built in the LA area, it would likely involve long-term observation, collected evidence, and multiple layers of information being reviewed over time. That kind of process isn't quick, and it doesn't happen in the open, which is why people are now starting to look back and question what may have been happening behind the scenes this whole time. Now here's where things start to feel even heavier, because if what people are saying has any truth to it, this wouldn't just be about one situation or one night. It would be about years of moments, relationships, and patterns all being looked at together. Think about how that plays out. Every interview, every lyric, every public appearance. People online are saying all of that could be getting analyzed piece by piece. Not because it proves anything alone, but because when enough details stack up, it starts to paint a bigger picture investigators might pay attention to. And that's why this situation has so many people watching closely. It's not just about what already happened, it's about what could happen next. If something official were ever announced, it wouldn't come out of nowhere. It would mean groundwork had already been in place for a long time. At the same time, it's important to stay grounded. Right now, there are no confirmed federal charges tied to these claims, no official documents putting all of this together the way people are describing online. A lot of this is still speculation, conversations, and theories spreading across platforms. But even with that in mind, the level of attention this is getting says a lot. When discussions get this loud, detailed, and widespread, people start looking at everything differently, trying to connect pieces and understand what might really be going on behind closed doors. It would mean tracking everything, meetings, communications, connections between people over time. It would also mean reviewing public content closely, like interviews, social media posts, music videos, and appearances that could be tied into a larger narrative. That's how detailed these situations can get when people start digging deeper. And this is where YG's very public image becomes complicated. On one side, his openness about where he's from has always been a major part of what made him feel authentic to fans. He never hid it, and that honesty helped build his identity in the music world. But on the other side, in a situation like this, that same openness could be viewed differently. Every hand sign on camera, every lyric, every post, every interview where he spoke about his background, it all becomes part of a bigger timeline people might try to piece together. When these conversations started heating up online, people began digging. Old clips resurfaced, timelines started getting rebuilt, and some pointed out moments where YG appeared near certain individuals or situations that later became controversial. Whether those connections actually mean anything is still up for debate, but the internet definitely started connecting dots fast. And one thing many people believe is this: Draco's case was never going to be forgotten. He had too much impact, too many supporters, and too much attention around his story. With that level of visibility, people always expected that questions about what happened would keep coming up no matter how much time passed. The irony here is hard to ignore. Draco spent years dealing with the system that once tried to build a RICO case around him, and now people are saying that same type of law could be used in efforts connected to what happened to him. That twist alone has people talking. If you put yourself in YG's position for a second, and again, this is all based on unconfirmed claims, the big question people always ask in situations like this is how information even surfaces. In complex federal cases, there are usually many moving parts. Situations like that often involve a lot of people, different perspectives, and shifting dynamics over time. These cases aren't simple. When multiple groups and individuals are being looked at, everything becomes layered.
Different people have different levels of involvement, different motivations, and different reasons to speak or stay quiet, which makes the situation even more complicated. Now look at the impact beyond just headlines. Draco's family has been dealing with this loss for years. His mother, his brother Ralphie the Plug, and his son have all carried that weight. Ralphie has spoken publicly about it, making it clear that in his view there hasn't been real accountability for what happened. If anything were to officially move forward one day, some believe it could be the first real sign of progress since the civil case began. And beyond that, the LA rap scene itself has felt the impact, because Draco wasn't just respected in one lane. His influence reached artists, critics, and fans across the board, making his absence hit even harder. His loss didn't just affect people close to him, it went far beyond that. For those who knew Draco personally, it was deeply painful. But even outside that circle, it felt like a major cultural loss. And the fact that no one has been officially charged in connection to his death has left many people frustrated and searching for answers for years. If something as serious as a federal case were ever to involve YG in connection with this situation, the impact would be massive. We're not talking about a small artist. YG has platinum records, Grammy nominations, and a long run with major labels like Def Jam. He's worked with names like Drake, Nicki Minaj, Big Sean, and 2 Chainz, and has been a key figure representing the West Coast for over a decade. There's also another emotional layer to all of this. YG and Nipsey Hussle had a real connection, and when Nipsey passed in March 2019, YG showed that pain openly. He paid tribute, performed in his honor, and made it clear how much that loss affected him. That's why people online see a strong contrast in this situation. The idea that someone who publicly mourned one respected LA artist could even be mentioned in conversations around another tragic loss creates a lot of emotion and confusion for fans trying to make sense of it all. As for YG's response to all these discussions, there hasn't been a direct one. No public confirmation, no denial, nothing specifically addressing the RICO speculation or the connections people are making. And right now, with all these claims spreading online, that silence is starting to feel louder than anything he could actually say. From a legal standpoint, that's not surprising. If his legal team is anything like the one that handled his 2020 situation, they're likely advising him to stay completely quiet. That's standard when something this serious is even being discussed. When federal-level situations are potentially involved, the strategy is simple. Don't respond to rumors, don't go on record, don't give anyone extra material to analyze. Staying silent can be the safest move even if it leaves people on the outside with a lot of questions. But for fans, for the culture, and for people who've been following YG since Tooted and Booted, that silence hits different. It leaves a gap where people expect clarity, and instead, they're left trying to piece things together themselves. Now, take a step back, because this isn't just about YG, and it's not just about Draco either. This points to a bigger pattern in hip-hop that keeps coming up, and it deserves real attention. Authorities have increasingly used RICO laws in cases involving artists with real-life backgrounds, not because music itself is the issue, but because public content can sometimes be interpreted in different ways. When artists openly share their experiences, it can create a record that later gets examined in ways nobody expected. Treetop Pyru isn't the same as what people saw in the YSL case. It's a different city, different environment, different history. But the legal structure being discussed stays the same, and that's what has people paying attention. If prosecutors were ever able to show a pattern of illegal activity connected to a group, especially involving serious incidents, then individual roles can start to matter less in the bigger picture. That's what makes these cases feel so heavy, because it's not always about one specific moment, it's about how everything connects over time. That's the part that really gets people thinking. In situations like this, discussions often focus on associations and patterns, not just direct actions. And if those connections can be clearly outlined, it changes how everything is viewed from a legal standpoint. For the culture, this opens up a bigger conversation about authenticity in hip-hop. For years, artists have been praised for being real, for representing where they come from without filtering it. YG has been one of the main faces of that on the West Coast, building his identity on honesty and consistency. But now people are starting to question what that means in today's environment, where public expression, lyrics, and image can all be analyzed in serious ways. Being fully open about your background can come with unexpected pressure that goes beyond music debates or online arguments. And when you bring it back to Draco's legacy, there's a complicated feeling in the air. He once faced serious legal challenges himself, and now people are saying that a similar legal approach could be connected to seeking answers in his case. So let's really ask it. Do you think YG is actually about to face something serious, or is this just internet noise getting out of control? That's the question everyone is asking right now, and opinions are all over the place. Because here's one perspective. When similar stories start popping up from different places, people begin to feel like there might be something behind it. It's happened before where online conversations picked up on situations early, long before anything official was announced. Now let's be clear, none of this means anyone is guilty of anything. It just means people are paying attention to patterns and trying to read between the lines. Federal situations, if they exist, usually stay quiet until there's something concrete to present. Nothing gets rushed or announced early. At the same time, people haven't forgotten about Draco. His family, his fans, and the culture have all been waiting for answers for years. That part hasn't changed, and it's why every new discussion brings emotions right back to the surface. If any of these claims ever turn out to be real, then it would mean things have been moving behind the scenes for a long time. And if not, then it shows how powerful online speculation can become when enough people start connecting dots. One thing everyone can agree on: eventually, the truth comes out one way or another. Until then, all people can do is watch closely, stay informed, and be ready for whatever updates come.